We are a hot mess. Can anybody hear me? I think I'm live. It says I'm live, but I don't even know if I'm live. Coach Chase, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
I'm like, in some way we'll figure this out. I don't know when, I don't know how. So I can hear you too. I hope somebody is in the chat. They can let us know if they hear us.
Yeah, it is.
That was funny. My head has been hurting the past couple of days, so
Okay.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. But as people roll in, I wish I had a cute intro. Man, I suck at life. Well, welcome everybody as you roll in. So I don't have an intro and I'll get one eventually, but I just wanted to welcome everybody in. I pitched this idea to Coach Hayes to come and talk to me about football in a way that we don't always hear football talked about. I feel like with the season starting, with all of these things happening, there's obviously an NFL game on right now. They've changed the kickoff scheme, which I have so many questions about. I don't even know what the hell they got going on. And so I just wanted to ask him questions about being a coach. So I think a lot of times we get different perspectives from different people of like, what is this? What is that? We hear all this lingo. We hear all these different things. And I just thought it would be cool to bring you on and ask you questions. So I prepared a list of questions to grill Coach Hayes. There will be a grade after this is over. And so if you don't answer any questions to my liking, you will fail. So just so you know. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But this is really just to share out knowledge and just so we can understand more. Some of these questions, I might even know the answer, but I think it's cool to just talk to somebody else to give a different perspective. And it's football season. I've also said, before I get off my soapbox, one of the things I like to do on my channel is to bring more women into football and to explain more about what's happening. And you have to learn the game before you actually know the game. And so for me, it's really important to like talk about all the things we usually don't talk about per se. So that's why we're doing this. So we do have the chat open. So if you have questions, ask the chat. I believe Coach Hayes is dual streaming on his channel as well. So you have access to put up questions too, don't you?
I don't.
Oh, okay. I am in control. So if I like your question,
I can see them, but I can't do anything with them.
So if I don't like your question, I'm not asking it because I'm in control.
That's fair.
So anyways, if you just want to like introduce yourself, obviously I'm pretty sure lots of people probably already know who you are, but you never know. If you want to just introduce yourself and then I will grill you with the questions. I need to get my pen so that I can take notes on if I think the answer is good enough for me, because I will grade you at the end of this.
Well, somebody's going to finally take notes. Some people like, there's some people in this world that don't like to take notes.
You know what? Speaking of that, let me get my spiral out so that everybody, so this is a spiral. Whenever you're learning and trying to learn and have conversations, it's always nice to have something around so you can take notes. So just context.
Did you say spiral? Is that what we're talking about here?
That's what we're talking about. Just a little context for those of us that, need help conversationing and taking notes. I'll be taking notes, clean piece of paper right here. So I'll be writing during this time.
And let people know this is called a pen.
This is called a pen. This is a pen. This is blue. This is black. I always have two different colors close to me. No, but so anyways. So yeah, this is supposed to be informative. This is supposed to be.
This is a pencil. This is a pencil. So when you make a mistake, you can erase it and start over.
So tell us about you and how long you've been coaching, your background, whatever you want to share with us. And so then go ahead.
Just quickly, I was coaching for since 2000, stopped in 2020, I guess. Started doing this just because of COVID. And for long story short, here we are. Started doing breakdown videos of the high school highlight tapes. Well, most people kind of know the story, the high school highlight tapes. And then, started doing some live shows with some guests. And I was doing what I call, those highlight tapes are called WREs, which is Watch, React, Evaluate. And then started doing WRE lives where I would bring the players on and break down their video with them live and kind of have those conversations. Then we started doing live shows about my beloved Miami Hurricanes. Shout out to V12. He actually got me started doing that. Kind of the co-host there on the show. and then moved on to doing other live shows. I had a Coach Me Coach podcast where we just kind of talked about a bunch of other different things, a bunch of different stuff. And then Coach Prime came along. We added Colorado. We got another team coming up here next week, I believe, if we're on schedule with that. So it's just kind of what it is. Huh?
You're going for it next week?
Next week. Yeah, we'll kind of kick it off next week and get it going. And that's what it is. And so my whole thing, I've come to learn that everybody doesn't agree with me, and I'm okay with that. But what I feel like my niche is in this is to bring things from a coach's perspective in there. Right. And that's just what it is. And that's just put it in a nutshell.
Yeah. And so the other thing is too, is I always say like part of learning football or even sharpening your tools with football is to continue to ask questions. Even those of us that like, we might see something different. And so I want to, that's why I wanted to have this conversation. And so just so everybody knows, if Coach Hayes fails this test, he's a terrible student because he has the questions. So I'm going to throw some things in there. Now he might not have prepared like the people that come and debate him, and that's not my problem, but he should pass this very well. And so we're just going to get started. I think the easy thing is football's back. We're back to training camp. We're back to fall ball. Everything's kind of started. What happens during this time? Like as the guys are coming back, they're probably assessing, different things, but what happens? Like, what does this look like? How do you organize this? Like, how does this time really look for teams and coaches?
Yeah. So when you have summer conditioning, I kind of go back just a little bit. We'll skip spring, but just go into summer conditioning. Summer conditioning is just what it is. They spend a lot of time with the strength and conditioning staff. You may have some meetings with the players, but that's where coaches do a lot of, if we're talking college right here, coaches do a lot of recruiting. They do a lot of self-scouting. They do a lot of analyzing of what they need to have going forward based on the personnel they have currently in the building, right? They also start game planning in the sense of what they want to put in, building installs. It's a lot of logistics, right? A lot of things that go on into this so far as what do you want to run? What do you think we'll be good at? You don't know just yet because you haven't put the guys to the task. Based on what you kind of see through your experience, all right, Johnny is very fast. So we need to run fast plays with Johnny. He's slow, but catches the ball well. Well, we can do different things with him. So it's that kind of movement, right? You're trying to maximize the player's strengths and minimize their weaknesses through your game, through your play calling and play design in that essence.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to say something because everybody thinks we're not really live. So we're live. Like I'm pulling up your comments. Yes, I can see them. So like we're live. We're as live can be. So don't worry. So anyways, just wanted to throw that out there because I feel like people are like this, there's no way this is live. And so the other thing is too, one thing that I feel like, and it's important to kind of note here is, do you come into training camp or fall, spring, whatever, fall ball, whatever different people call it, with an idea of like who your starters and who your people are going to be, and then you just like let them play it out? Or how, like, do you come in with kind of a game plan and then you're like, well, let's just see if this is real, or do you build it during that time?
It depends on the situation. If you're new to a program, you don't know those players. You kind of know who the previous year starters were, because if you walk into a new program, you're going to look at old footage, old film, who's returning, who is the ball player, who is not. So if you're just like, say, you just get a new job at a new school, then yes, you can kind of say, okay, number 34, he looks like he could be the guy, da. You really don't know, but you have to start somewhere. Somebody has to walk out there first. So with that being said, yes, you kind of have an idea. That doesn't mean they will always be that guy, but you always have an idea in your mind. Now, a dude may lose it that first practice because Jimmy that you didn't know about come out and blow him out the water. So there's a lot of unknown. But if you're at a program and you're returning to that program and you know that this guy did extremely well, it's probably very small that somebody's going to beat him out. So you do different things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a good score for that one. You know what? Okay. Question number 1, you did all right. You did all right.
Winner.
You did all right. So I'm going to flip the next 2 questions because I very much harp on the next question of coaches speak. I always say people hear what coaches say and they just cling on to it and act like they're saying the best thing ever. In reality, all the coaches are saying the same thing. He's smart, he's fast, he can do the job, he's so amazing, he shows up early, he works hard, he studies hard. And your definition being a coach, what would you call coaches speak? And why do coaches speak?
So here's the best way I can answer it. It's no different than politics, and it's the answers that a doctor would give you without doing an exam. That's where I can put it.
Did I just get a politics reference? Bonus points. Number 2, bonus points.
Yeah. That's what happened, young people. When you take notes, if you know they like politics, throw in the word politics. So what do I mean by that? Political answers are always what people want to hear. That doesn't mean that's what you're going to do. Nobody wants to hear, right? And this is what I go through on my channel. Nobody wants to hear, hey, that may not work or that may not be a good idea. They want to hear all positivity all the time, right? And that's coach speak. Cliches, right? That's coach speak. And the reason what you said why they do it is just like when you go into the doctor's office. Doctor, am I going to die? Well, listen, we're going to take a couple exams. We're going to do this, and everything's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. It's a brush over. It's a dodge. It's a way to divert, to deflect rather from different things, because you don't really have an answer until you do an exam, get lab test, or whatever the case may be. That's how you get malpractice, because now people can hold you to that. See, so if you notice,
it's public.
If you notice their answers are very open-ended, it's not really definitive. Like, we're going to win the national title this year. Our goal is to win the national title this year. But what people hear is, he said we're going to win the national title this year.
Yeah. No, they asked Sark something the other day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he was fast. He was moving all over the field. He was making plays." The hell? Was he on second team or first team, coach? Like, that's the question. But it's like he's not answering that. He's just saying, like, "Oh, he's great."
Yeah, they're never going to give you. So coach speak is never really give you true definitive answers for most coaches. For a lot of coaches, if they really know the answer, then that's what it is. You know, a lot of times you hear about talking about people starting or this person starting. They don't even answer that really tough.
This chat is off the hook.
Looks like we got some Willie Brown and Kamala Harris stuff going on here.
This chat is off the hook. So I like, small note. It gives me the greatest pleasure to hear people compare me to political people. Like, I don't know if there's a better compliment on the face of the planet for me than to people to say anything that ties me to anything political. So keep those comments coming, everyone. I don't mind them at all. It pisses some people off, but I don't care. So keep them coming. So for number 2, we'll give you did good. So you got a bonus. So we'll go ahead and give you some points for that.
I appreciate it.
So you're welcome. So the other word or thing that I feel like we hear a lot of is installs, game plans, coming up with a way to stop them, coming up, like, what is an actual install? Like, how does that work? When do they start? Because obviously every team knows who they're going to play first, but, and you're going to play second, but like, this is a new year, a new team. Like, how are my Steelers working on installing for playing against the Falcons? Like, what time do you focus on the game you're going to play versus just training camp, getting ready, getting prepared, and things like that?
So, excuse me. So install is a part of the training camp, right? So to answer that part, the training camp overall is just what it is. You bring your guys in, they're learning how to practice, learning what you want, what's first, second, and third. What kind of stretches are being done? Like I was saying the other day, the stretches that you do for summer workout and lifting weights are totally different than the stretches that you do for practice. Total different. I can't say muscle groups, but usage of the muscles are totally different. So therefore, you stretch differently, right? What you're going to be doing is totally different. What do the lines look like? Are we 8x5? Are we 10x20? All of that kind of stuff. That's the organization part of it, right? You don't just run out there and everybody knows where to go.
Right. Okay. So it's like getting in a rhythm, like whatever your rhythm is.
Right. It's like when you start a job, right? They walk you through training. Here, hey, this is where you sign in the morning. The coffee machine is over there. If you have any questions regarding your payroll, go ask Sarah. Like they give you all of the instructions on how to do your job. That's really what training camp is about. Practice times, this, that, and the third. What do we expect? Our expectations, our philosophy, our standards. How do you dress when you come to practice? All of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The install piece is just what it is. You are starting to install your playbook. Install 1 is usually your base stuff, right? Very basic information. If it's offensively, you're going through formations. What do we call them? Now, they've been doing some of this in the summer when they meet with them, but it's kind of on the board. This formation is trips. Trips open, trips close, trips nub, trips king, trips queen. All these things are starting to get terms. So you always hear people say, the plays are the same, but the verbiage is different.
Right.
Well, some people call it trips, some people call it trio, some people call it this, some people call it tray. So like tray would be trips with a Y. Trio would be 3 off. Trips would be 3 with a, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But another team may call tray what another person calls trio.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. For a while, some people call it spread, some people call it doubles, some people call it deuce. So you're getting all of that terminology down and you're starting to implement rules. There's rules to the game. And the rules are, you have to remember in football, you can call a play, but there are rules to these plays. And I think that's the biggest thing people have to understand. This is where continuity comes in. I can go out here and call play A. But what happens if I'm on offense and the linebacker comes down and he shows a different look than what I'm accustomed to? I have to go back to my rules. Or I do something different or change it or whatever based on my rules.
Okay.
That's
so
how you get
basically like the foundation. Like
that's all you're building.
This. Okay. And so do you do that like all camp, or is there a certain point in camp where you say we're on to the next phase? Is that
install 2, install 3, install 4?
Okay.
Right. So every day you consider a different install. So day 1 would be install 1.
Okay.
Depending on your team, if you have a large percent of your team coming back, you may not spend as much time on the foundational stuff because a lot of these guys know it. The new guys, it's easier to get 10 guys caught up if I have 80 guys that know it.
Right.
Versus 80, if I come into a new school, I got to teach all 100 guys what to do.
Yeah. Okay.
So I may have to spend a little bit more time on that. But it's fast now. Installs are fast because you have 20, 25 days to get in stuff for the season. You're basically, all of your foundational work has to be put in. And then as the season goes, you can tweak it, create variances, all those different type of things to it. But whatever you want to make your foundation of your team is pretty much done within those 20 to 25 practices.
That makes sense. DC Carson said, install 1 is like getting a quick weave. Thank you for that analogy.
No, install 1 like a lace front. Huh?
Thank you.
I guess that's a quick weave, bro. I don't know.
Maybe you should have said press on nails, but you listen, whatever. I think the other thing too, the underground maybe thing about all of this is, and what I often forget about being like a sports fan, is that it's not just the practice time. It is the time that you spend once you have it. Now you have to go study it, learn it, get it in your brain so that when the second install comes, you don't forget the first install. Because that, I feel like that's the part that it's like, okay, this makes sense. But it's like the cumulative part of this where it's like, remember what we did on Tuesday? It's Thursday. You shouldn't have done that because this is day 2 or whatever. So I
Correct.
think that's what makes this hard is that. And so, okay, I'll give you an okay score for that one.
And I'll say this to add to my okay, if I could get maybe a plus right there.
Okay, let's
To make
see.
this quick parallel, it's like math, right? You cannot do any math in the world unless you know four function math: add, subtract, multiply, and divide.
That's true.
So, and installs are like Lego blocks. If a coach is, which I'm not saying nobody isn't, but I hope they are, you're building off of install 1. Install 2 is a build off of 2. 2 is a build off of, 3 is build off of 2. 4 is a build off of 1, 2, and 3. 5 is a build off 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's how it continues. So it's like four function math to calculus in 20 days, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't like math, so I'm not going to give you the plus. I'm just kidding. I actually do like math, so I'll give you a plus, whatever. So you brought up something during that I wrote down, and you mentioned camaraderie. And I know that it's one of those things I always say you can't really measure it. You can really see when it goes bad because I feel like bad is noticeable. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to work. And so last year, my Steelers, our whole linebacker group was decimated. I mean, it's a joke. We were just throwing out guys. And I remember at one point, people were like, the coaching ability of Mike Tomlin to have this linebacker group working as a group and building camaraderie, and they have no idea who each other are, is a feat within itself. And so I feel like it's one of those things that, from a coach's perspective, how do you build camaraderie, and how do you know if your players are starting to trust each other on the field? Because I think it's cool. Like, if I like you in the lunchroom, that's fine. But like, how do I know? I know Coach Hayes, he doesn't really like when we call plays to the right. So because I know that, I'm going to whatever to kind of help him out. Like, how do you know when your team is kind of there at that point of they're on the same token, they're building together, they're learning together?
So part of summer conditioning is really where a lot of camaraderie is built. You put them through adverse situations, right? When everything's good for everybody, right? It's what it is. Nobody's really mad. Everything's great. Everything's good. But when adversity sets in is where you really see team come together. And that's why when you put them through summer conditioning and training, you're trying to dog them out. You're trying to dog you because there's at some point, as good as your team is, you're going to face an adverse situation. Whether you're down by 3, whether you're up by 5 and they're driving, whether the offense is on a 13-play drive and your team is tired, you put them through those situations because you want to see how they are going to respond. Is that who is the one person that's going to stand up? See, just because you talk, and that kind of goes what I was saying yesterday in the video, you don't have to be loud to be a leader. Right. And I think a lot of people think that you got to be loud. No, right? There's a great clip, a basketball clip, where a young man missed a shot and he had his head down. His teammate walked to him and he just pulled his chin up, didn't say a word, pulled his chin up and kept going. I got chill bumps. That's team camaraderie. Like, bro, I got your back. Put your head up, dog. We in this thing together. He didn't yell at him. He didn't say a word. He walked past him, pushed his chin up, and kept on going. That is when you know you have a team. And as coaches, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a guy who's picking up the weak right now, right? To make them strong. You're looking for adverse situations, and you know you're putting them in bad situations. You're doing it on purpose because you know these days are coming.
I think that's interesting because I think that, so obviously lots of people know, like, I played volleyball, and as the Olympics are going on and I'm watching beach volleyball, they're playing on this court. There's two people out there, and it's either you or me. And it's so obvious who messes up, right? Because it's obvious. And it's interesting. And it's interesting to watch them continue no matter who messes up. They're in it. It doesn't matter. It's like that constant connection of like, let's go. That's okay. We got this. Great job. That's all right. And it's like that little thing that happens that I feel like a lot of people, it's normal in a lot of ways for me, because I obviously being a volleyball player, but I also can tell when teams aren't doing that. And it's easy for me to spot it out and be like, uh-oh, this
Mhm.
ain't gonna work, like this doesn't look
Yeah.
good. So I think that's important. And I also think like the one thing I just want to say also is I feel like a lot of the things we're talking about are like tangible ideas. And my purpose of this conversation, because I know we have more people coming in that weren't here before, my purpose of this conversation, or our purpose is to bring more understanding to the other things that are happening that we might not always talk about. We can
Right.
look on the field and see who's playing offense, who's playing defense, who's a running back, who's a receiver. Great. But there's other things that are going into this that impact wins and losses, because that's what this all comes down to. But
That's
we
right.
don't talk about, nobody ever talks about it. We see it maybe, but we don't talk about it. And so that's why we're just talking about just like some different things. Some of these things, some of you might be like, oh yeah, that's obvious. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know these things. So it might seem
Right.
obvious to you and it's not obvious to somebody else. Now my
Yeah.
educator brain of me is coming out. So I'll stop that
So,
because that's
and, and,
gross.
and here's what's funny too. One thing about sport, you have to remember it's a team game, but a bunch of individual battles.
Mm-hmm.
And the person next to you is trying to take your job.
Right.
Like the guy that's next to you or behind you, does he want to see you fail? Is he saying, I want his job, but I'm going to help him? Because there are guys who are not starters, but understand the defense better, but athletically they can't accomplish the task. Does that number two step in and step up and say, hey, this is how you blitz. This is how you run that route.
Right.
This is how you do this. So I really want to play, but I'm going to give him the secrets to success so he can still play in front. Like that's the balancing act.
Yeah, because I want to win, and he has my job, but like, yeah, that's interesting because some of this is like selfishness. Like you have to. It actually is for the greater of the team.
It's selfishness, teamwork. I guess that's the best way to say it. Like I'm being selfish, or I want to be selfish.
I want to be, yeah.
But remember, his success gets him further on in life. While I'm sitting back here, but I'm the one that actually helped him, or I did this. Or do I just let him fail so I can get an opportunity? But I know I can't. When I catch the ball, I can't take it 60, but he can.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that makes sense. So for that question, I'll give you that was good. I'll give you that. You had a good analogy there. Okay, so I'll give you a great. Yeah, we'll give you great on that one. Whatever. So one of my favorite questions,
whatever
that I like to, and I actually this is what actually prompted this conversation, if we're being honest, because I asked you this question offline, and I said, "What happens during the sidelines?" Because to me, it looks chaotic. It looks like controlled chaos. So I've been to a multitude of football games on all different levels, high school, NFL, college. I've seen it all. And it's chaos to me because it's like guys are up, they're separated, they're stationed, they're doing their own things. They're talking to one coach, the head coach, people running in and out. It's third down. Certain people get up, some people don't get up. So to me, it looks like controlled chaos. But I'm sure for you all, this is just how the sidelines work. So I would love to hear from you. What happens on the sidelines? Like what is happening? How does it, what the hell? Like whatever. I'll just shut up. If you could just tell me, I'll just shut up.
So to your point, the best way I can explain it is, you ever seen the band at halftime and they're all over the field and before you realize they make a nice picture?
Yeah.
That's what it is. Right.
Okay, see, you're trying to get points because you're freaking analogies.
I'm trying. Hey, I'm the analogy king. I got shirts and all. Hey, go check out CoachHfootball.com. But anyway, no, but seriously, but that's all of that is part of pre-planning and the installing with the players. What do you do? How do you do it? All of that kind of stuff. You go through game day experiences and changes. Third down. Who's the guy you're looking for on third down? Right? Or a punt alert. All right. Coach Smith, he's a punt alert guy. He's going to always be on our 40-yard line. I don't care if the ball is on the opposite 5. He's going to always be on our 40. He's not going to be on the other end of the 40. Punt alert, to go to our 40-yard line. Right?
So you're like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, kickoff. Coach Smith, maybe Coach Smith as well. He may be the special team guy, but he's going to always be on our or their 30-yard line because that's what
So that's how they keep it organized.
that's how you got to keep it organized. So it's like if I know I'm on kick, if you hear a kickoff, go to our 30. Don't be like, well, where's Coach Smith? Is he at the 50? Is he at the 10? Is he at the 25? Go to our 30. But again, this is me speaking. I can't speak for all teams, but I do hope that they have some kind of situation like that. But that's the kind of stuff that you do. So it looks chaotic. Like you may see 10 guys running through it, 10 more guys coming this way, but those 10 guys are going here to this particular spot. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the head coach dictates a lot of these things. He says, okay, he may talk to the coordinator and say, hey, coordinators, offensively, how do you handle X, Y, and Z? And the coordinator may come and say, all right, listen, I need Coach Johnson. He's in charge of down and distance, right? So down and distance, coach. So on the headset, we throw a hitch route, we get 5 yards. Coach Johnson, 2nd and 5, coach, far hash, near middle, far middle. You know what I mean? Far hash or whatever. He's basically, so the coordinator doesn't have to look. He's looking at his plays and he's listening. So now based on his play call sheet, he can go to far hash, right?
Okay.
So he knows the person is telling him. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, so the person is telling him, so he knows, hey, we had the -30 far hash, first and 2nd and 5. So he knows I'm at the second and middle downs, far hash. So I know where the far side of the field is to me because I'm on the far hash. So all of the field is to me. If I'm on the near hash, all of the field is to them. Okay. So I know that's my left, that's my right, based on what it is. Personnel changes may be made on the headset where some people got 10 personnel, 20 personnel, 11 personnel. He may look at his play sheet and say, I want to run play F, but it's a 11 personnel play. So he may say 11-11. Coach Wright is in charge of personnel. 11.
And the guys know.
They know I'm 11 personnel. They run out, and Coach Wright is in charge of counting to make sure you got 11 on the field, 11 people, not 11 personnel, right?
And so is that why, too, that makes sense because on the sidelines, I see a lot of when the offense is on, it's like it's a moving thing, right? Head coach usually stands, no one ever touches the head coach, but everyone the offense kind of marches down the field, and it's because when their play name or whatever personnel is called personnel. Okay, that means you got to go. So that's okay. So that's the ability to kind of move and shake. So my question is what happens if somebody gets hurt?
Right. So, and again, I'll just say this quickly. I did use the numbers 11 personnel. That's a lot of that is a defensive call. Some offensive coaches like to use animals like tiger, lion, elephant, rhino, based on everybody has a different verbiage.
Yeah.
So I just want people to understand that, some people think that's the only way it's done because that's the only way they did it, but everybody has something different. If someone gets hurt, two things happen. One, when you're at a big school or a program, the athletic trainers, because they don't like to be called trainers. I'm an athletic trainer coach. Okay. The athletic trainers, I made it their responsibility to tell me as the head coach. I wanted that responsibility. They could also tell the OC or DC as well, but tell me so I know and I can make, hey, Tim, man, listen, my man down right now, find somebody for whatever. Okay. That was their responsibility because I don't know the extent of the injury. I don't have time to go over there and see how hurt this player is. Unfortunately, I know it sounds cold, but you don't because the referee wind the clock. Let's go. I gotta get to the ball by 9. I ain't got time to play with y'all. So I say all that to say, what happens in that case is she may say, Coach, he's out for the game. Coach, he's touch and go. You may want to check him for a series or 2. Coach, give me a few minutes. I got to wrap his finger up. He's bleeding. I got to get the blood off his uniform. So it's levels to it. Coach,
Right. Depending on whatever it is.
Yeah. Coach, he took his helmet. He's out for the game. If it's touch and go, then her job was to stand there with me because they have headsets. When he's finished, she'll say, hey, Coach, Jimmy good to go. All right, now I know he's good. She's not going to walk away and come back later if it's just bandaging up something or whatever's quick.
Right.
But if he's out for the game, she's like, Coach, he going for the game. I'll be like, okay.
That's it. Yeah, don't even worry about that.
Yeah, she's going about her business.
So what happens? So I think the most chaotic I ever see a sideline is a turnover. Because I feel like that's in my personal opinion, I could be wrong. That's the fastest change of pace, right? Like your offense is out there, everything is great. They're moving the ball down the field. Lovely running back B fumbles the damn football. And then all of a sudden it's like, there's like, okay, we gotta go, we gotta get out of there. So how does that work if the team is kind of like doing they're huddling with their position coach and they're like doing their thing? Is there a name or something that gets yelled out where everyone is kind of like, in my mind, I'm actually saying to myself right now, like, oh shit, like it's time. Like we got to do something. Is there a call that everybody knows it's time?
So you can feel it because the crowd going to tell you. Oh, so, but it's called sudden change, right?
Okay.
Sudden change is just what it says. You're there, interception, sudden change. Coach immediately, whoever that coach is designated for, he's up. Base, whatever the defensive call personnel is, starters, first team, whatever that coach determines, meet on that coach. He's got to get a head count. You can't assume that everybody heard it. Sometimes some of these refs, sudden change, and they wind it, and you have to feel that too. Like sudden change, like if a kid gets tackled at there, he see it, he blow the whistle, he starts the play clock. So now the offense got to run out there and get going, and you got to get out there, you got to get the call in, but you practice that. You actually practice sudden change, right?
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you, I actually lost a playoff game because a kid couldn't find his helmet in sudden change. Through the commotion, his helmet got kicked under the bleacher, under the bench, and he's panicking. Guess what? Guess who I got to throw out there?
The next guy. Little Timmy.
And guess where they went? Right where little Timmy was. Yeah. So you know what you learn?
Everybody have to have their helmets in their hand?
On their head. I don't care. Okay. I keep it on. And now again, that's college is a little different. But when your helmet stays on the entire time. You take it off halftime, end of the game. That's it. I'm not going to lose another game because you want to take your helmet off. You got a whole face mask open. You can breathe.
Are those things heavy?
Yeah, a couple pounds, but it's all right. It's all good.
Okay.
But they make them lighter now. But I got a whole thing about that. But what I'm saying is,
I'll give you a point for that.
That sudden change is so important. And that's the same thing offensively, right?
Yeah.
What does that coach want to run? Does he want to go trips? Does he want to go 2x2? Does he want to go pro? Does he want to do this? Who does he want in the game? So offense had that same thing. And here's the organization of it. If Johnny is way down there and the team is here and you yell out, now you got 10 on the field.
Yeah. Johnny can't hear you.
Yeah. And it's the same thing we saw with a team that constantly had 12 men on the field. What happened with them? Nobody was responsible for getting a head count. The communication was bad between players as he's changing personnel from maybe nickel to dime to 4-2-5 to base. People just running on, and you assume that Mike heard that on the field, and he didn't.
Right. Yeah. So, and that kind of goes to the next. Well, a question I have too is, so there's so many people on the sidelines. Like, there's training staff, there's like weightlifting training staff, there's athletic training, there's coaches, there's whatever on the sideline. Everybody is supposed to have something that they're focused on, or because sometimes I'm not sure what's happening. So basically what I think I'm understanding you say is everybody has certain things they're supposed to be doing. Somebody is responsible for every little thing on the sideline.
Correct.
if they're on the sideline. It's kind of like rules to entry is that you need to be accountable for something if you're going to be down
Everybody,
there.
listen, everybody has a job. Everybody has a job. They should. I'll put it that way. They should have a job if they're on your staff. Now, you do have people on the sideline, like maybe boosters or something. Their job is to stay out the way.
Right.
That's your job. Stay out the way. But every person has a job. The strength and conditioning coach has a job. And then he has a staff. So they have a job. Some of them may be in charge of counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some of those guys have interest in maybe becoming a coach one day. So they may be in charge of personnel. So you can kind of cross use those guys a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because they're on the strength and conditioning staff doesn't mean they don't know the game and they can't help you with certain things. Right.
That's fair. Yeah.
So in that case, right. So when you look at it as a head coach, you may say, okay, this person is in charge of the head count. This person in charge of personnel, this person in charge of whatever the case may be, injury reports.
Right.
When they come off the field, this person is in charge of getting the whiteboard up. This person is in charge of making sure these markers are here. I know it sounds crazy.
No,
yeah.
The worst thing is a whiteboard without a marker.
Yeah, but I'll give you another one. Well, the worst thing is the whiteboard that's wet with a marker. You can't write on it. So guess what I did? Bro, you're in charge of making sure this whiteboard doesn't get wet and have a dry towel because the eraser doesn't work. You got to have a towel, a dry towel. Because if you ever wipe a whiteboard with a wet towel, the markers won't work.
It's just crazy too, because this is there's so many things. Yeah. And that's why people always have said, and I didn't realize that it's hard to win a football game. Like it's just hard. Because there's so many, it's not just we're better. It's like, yeah, but did we do this? Was it ready? Did we do all the things? So it's interesting hearing about this because like I said, sometimes I look on the side, even just tonight when I was watching the NFL game for a little bit that I watched, I was just kind of like, yeah, it's just chaotic. It just looks chaotic to me, but I'm also a viewer. So
yeah, and so they try to find ways to make things easier. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of those games where they have the 11 dots on the field.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Okay, you look down instead of counting, you see an open dot, somebody missing. You see two people missing. You see three people missing. Now, those 3 people may be on the field already, but just you have to know that as a coach, they can't be on the field and on the dot. So you have to know that, those 3 are out there on the field. Okay, we got 11, coach. We good.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what happens in that case.
So on that, staying there a little bit, so there's 2 questions there. How do people know if you want to be an on the field coach or in the booth? Because I know like different coaches have different preferences. I don't know any head coach that's ever sat in the booth because I think that sounds absolutely crazy unless they're injured. Usually if they like hurt themselves and it's pretty serious and they're old, they sit up there. But other than that, I don't know any head coach that's ever sat in the booth. But how do you decide as a coach? Either do you decide as a head coach who sits where, or do the coaches have preferences? Like, what are the pros and the cons for that? How's that decided?
So usually the head coach will ask the coordinators, what do you like? Are you a booth? Are you on the field? Even in the hiring process. And it's 2 different kinds, right?
Okay.
A lot of times offensive guys like to be upstairs, unless they're the head coach who calls the plays, the Lane Kiffin, Josh Heupel, that kind of stuff.
How dare you forget Steve Sarkisian? Jeez.
Steve Sarkisian.
Negative points on this one.
I just didn't get there yet. I had a comma. I said comma.
You forgot a negative. No.
So,
know your audience.
Well, I know Steve Sarkisian likes to bend down and write. I know he likes to bend down and write a lot. So, Lincoln Riley, so forth and so on. So what happens in that case is, let's just say offensively. Offensive guys typically kind of like to go upstairs because they can see. They can see the blitz patterns. They can see who's picking up who. They can see the pass protection. They can see the holes that are open. And offensively, I know this is going to sound crazy. It's just maybe my experience. It's not as emotional offensively calling the plays.
I
It's
can see
more
that.
it's more strategic. It's more like playing chess, like you know, A4 to D3, that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. And to them, they kind of know because they have the phone, they can talk to the quarterback. That's really the main guy who's the real chess like the real chess piece on the board out there. Defensively, you typically see those guys on the field. Some of them like to be upstairs because they can see. But what I've realized is, as long as they have a mouthpiece downstairs that they can trust to convey the message, then they're okay. But most coaches, defensive coaches, is an emotional thing.
Yeah,
Come
I can
on,
see
man.
that.
You know how to blitz. You got to be in it because you're the one
Yeah.
in practice doing a lot of that.
Right.
You see Steve Sarkisian.
He does. Mm-hmm.
That's it. And he may talk to the quarterback. Hey, right there, you had to. It's not a lot of emotion unless it's just a penalty, some stupid.
Yeah.
Even when they make big plays, it's touchdown. He be like, 1 point.
Yep.
Yeah, no big deal. But defensive guys, you get a sack, lose your mind because it's an emotional piece.
Yeah.
It's a lot. You
I
get
like
a chance.
that.
You get a chance to unleash the dog on these quarterbacks that are protected all week long. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you finally catch the unicorn or get to the pot of gold, it's a great moment, or that interception or whatever the case may be in that sense. So that's how you kind of get those guys upstairs, downstairs, calling the play because there's two significant differences. Upstairs, the best view in the house is like when we watch TV, we can see the whole thing, right? Imagine how many people will watch a football game if they gave it to us, if we watched the football game from the sideline view where the head coach stands.
I don't want to. No, I'm good.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't want that.
It's terrible.
You actually can't see anything, really, now that I think about it.
Exactly. Because you're blocked by, you got 22 bodies doing this.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, you can't see anything.
Yeah. So they give you that bird's eye view to see it from that perspective.
Got it.
So that's what it is.
Here's your friend Reggie trying to help you out. Maybe he can benefit from the next question. This one he failed. Okay.
I like Longhorns. They got great steaks. See what I did there?
Whatever. It's only if you butcher the Longhorn do you get a good steak. So I think so. The other thing is that kind of goes with that is headsets. So I've always said, I want to just listen to a headset one day, because to me, based off everything that you've already said, so the huddling, the transition, just seeing what's going on. The other part of it too is knowing what the other team has going on. So if 44 is the guy and 44 goes out, I want to know 44 is out, and I'm assuming somebody's telling me that in my headset. So I just feel like there's so many things that are happening. What happens in those headsets? What do they sound like? Is it chaotic? Is it?
It can be.
Okay. Like, what is it like? Like, can you give us a good analogy as to what it could sound like?
All right. So it's an organized dance too. It's a chaotic dance, right?
Okay.
Let's just go. I'll go from the defensive side first and walk your way down.
Okay.
So the first thing is you should hear down and distance, right? First thing, come through the headset. Nobody should say anything until whoever that coach is, probably upstairs or downstairs. Usually it's upstairs. Down and distance. 3rd and 2. First thing you hear. Next, you should maybe hear personnel. There's a spotter upstairs that's looking for number 44, number 80, whatever those personnel packages are. That's what he's looking for. Coach, they go in 11 personnel. They go in 12 personnel. They in 22. They in 20 personnel. So he's trying to look for his 20 personnel calls. Okay, 20 personnel calls, and it's 3rd and 3. I have 2 plays here that they like to run out of 20 personnel in 3rd and 3 situation. That's how you're kind of dissecting that, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you have it broken down on that sheet. So on that sheet, right, you hear 20 personnel. They like to run inside zone and they like to run hitches, right?
Okay.
So on my sheet, I have how do I stop inside zone? How do I stop hitches? Do I have something
Oh,
that I can
interesting.
stop it with between the two? Or do I take the tendency sheet and say, every time it's been 3rd and 3, they ran inside zone. I'm going to play the odds and try to stop the inside zone. So that's the next thing you hear is
Oh my
personnel.
God. So that's why if a team subs, you get the chance to sub
That's a new
because,
rule now. Yes.
but that's
That way.
why. Yeah, but
Yes.
that's why, because if they're doing something, if they're doing one thing and you think it's one thing, great. But once they make a change, you should be able to make a change too. It's
To
kind of
match their personnel,
to
right?
match.
So
Oh, okay, okay, that makes sense. Because I never
because
understood why people thought that was a big deal.
because what teams were doing was they know that we're spotting personnel. Well, they got all the skinny guys out there, 3rd and 3. Are we going to have our fat boys out there? No, we're going to have our skinny guys to cover them. And guess what they do? They already have them huddled up on the sideline, right? They know the play.
Mhm.
They sub out 3 of their skinny guys for 3 big guys and run it up the gut because all they got to do is come in and line up.
And you're screwed because you
And
can't.
now
You didn't have
you're
time.
out. You don't have time.
Yeah,
So
you're
they
outmanned.
actually, that's
Okay.
one rule that they made for the defense to try to make it even because usually everything is offensively geared.
Yeah.
So that's what that
Huh.
means. That's why they did that. So when you make a sub, they have an opportunity to make a sub. Sometimes you don't. You wave them off. I'm good. Play ball. Excuse me. But that's the Nexus personnel. You ever seen those guys like the backup quarterback and other people that have different color jerseys on? They signal.
Yep.
They do all
the
they
weird
have
stuff.
headset. They can't talk. They can't. I mean, they can, but they don't have a mic. He's now saying, let's go Field South Monster, cover 4 Sting tag. He's saying it and they're signaling as he's saying it. He may say play call, play call. So as he's saying play call, they know, okay, let's get ready to make our call. Yellow shirt is the real play call. Blue shirt is the fake. Green shirt is the fake. But everybody on the team know yellow shirt is the real deal this quarter. Next quarter, it may be but they're about to eliminate all that because they're putting the microphones in the helmet.
So you're telling me the amount of effort Michigan had to use to go steal signs was pretty vast.
And then you know those signs that they hold up with the Mario brother on there,
Yeah,
Bitcoin.
they had to know and identify what was and what wasn't and what was the decoy. Interesting.
Yeah. But you study it long enough. What you do is you'll see yellow shirt every time he does this, they run that.
Yeah. And then you just start to take the notes and then trends and then interesting.
Because Michigan had a bunch of spiral notebooks and pens. And they took notes.
Michigan needs to tell people how to take notes. So the other question is halftime. So I don't know how long it is. I know in the NFL it's 15 minutes. How long is it in college? Is it 20 minutes, 25 minutes?
It's 20 minutes.
So what does that look like? Now we know that like there's organized chaos on the sidelines. Everybody does their thing. I'm assuming when they go into the locker room, you've practiced it. It's kind of the same flow. Like, do you go to like in my mind, you go to your position coaches first, you kind of get whatever they have to say, and then you like come together and have a team or defensive thing and then a team thing? Or is it way more complicated than that?
No. So typically what has happened with us is players go in, they're getting water, treatment, bandages, whatever. Coaches meet. Head coach says defensively, if we say they beating us, hey man, they killing us on the outside, whatever it is. What's the game plan to fix it? Coach, right now, this is what we're looking at. Offensively, this is what they're doing. Why can't we get this play on, blah, 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 blah? What does it look like? Okay, great. Then you go in, the coordinators and coaches should stay out and they kind of devise their plan with their assistant coaches. All right, if I'm the DC, I'm talking to all my assistant coaches saying, look, right here on the outside zone play, we got to get John to make sure he spilled this, blah, 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 blah. You know, he's talking through the major hiccups. Offensively, hey, we're not getting our good pass protection. They overloading us. We may have to slide it, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. You agree, disagree? Yeah, coach, I got you based on our note. At that time, the head coach is giving his win one for the Gipper speech, right? Hey guys, we're not playing tough. That's why if you notice when the head coach talking halftime, you'll never see any other coaches around.
Yeah,
You
no,
may
you
see
don't.
strength and conditioning, but you don't see the assistant coaches. They're somewhere talking about what they're going to
Figuring
fix.
out. Yeah,
Right?
okay.
By that time, then you may break out to units, which is offensive defense unit. Then the coordinator is going to say kind of what they talked about, and then you're going to break out individually. So it's big, small, smaller, right? And that's actually the same kind of thing happens off the field. I'm gonna go back for a second.
On
When
the
you have
sideline?
on the sideline. So let's say, for example, it's third down on defense, fourth down, they get ready to punt the ball. Usually the defense is still out there because they don't punt team for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. When they come off the field, the defensive coordinator gets them all together when they come off the field. That's first down now. I want people to understand how fast this goes. And when people talk about what defense, don't make adjustments.
Trying to get bonus points on this question. Go ahead.
Here I go. So the defense, that's first down. I'm the DC. Hey guys, X, Y, and Z is happening, blah, blah, blah. They run in the mesh concept. We got to be able to catch this, da, da, da. By the time second down comes, you send them to their position guys to get it fixed. Third down, guess what's being said? Guess what's being said on third down?
I don't know.
Punt alert. Okay, punt alert.
It's time to go. It's already time to go.
You had two downs. Right. So if your offense goes 3 and out, this is why it hurts the defense so bad. They have a very small window to get things fixed. So now on third down, he's yelling punt alert. Why is he yelling punt alert? Probably 80% of the punt team is defensive players because they have to tackle the punt returner.
And they've only been sitting there for maybe a minute and a half.
Not even. If you're a team that likes to go fast.
Yeah. Or even, I'm saying if you just go slow. If you go slow, because I think Wesley played, 45 seconds or something? 40 seconds?
Yeah.
I never thought about it in way of fixing things. I only thought about it in way of like, they were just on the field.
Right.
But you're right. They never even have time to talk to anybody.
And to really, truly fix something. So, but the beauty is on third down, it's punt alert. So those guys are meeting Coach Mike on their 30-yard line. Remember, he's holding his hand up. Punt alert, punt alert. They're running up to the 30. Now, luckily, they say if your offense gets the first down, well, then you got an extra time, first, second down to do what? To get it fixed again.
Yeah.
But it's that constant dance. That's why you look like chaos. Because third down again, punt alert. They going back.
It does. It does. I mean, the last football game I went to was actually, it was a Steelers game. And it's the same in the NFL, right? Because it's all this football. And I just remember thinking, like, well, this poor guy, he literally keeps walking, putting his helmet on. Okay, now and then he comes back, and then he went back, and then by the time he was coming back, it was a turnover. So he's just like going back and forth. And I'm like, I hope he knows what he's doing. I mean, obviously he knows what he's doing, but it just looks crazy because it just looks like he's just wandering around. But I mean, that actually makes more sense. And I'll give you a bonus point because that was a good analogy, whatever.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate the eye roll. I appreciate the eye roll as well. I thank you for that. I mean, I've done my job. But I'll just say this part too, that people don't realize you're constantly dancing back and forth. Game. But here's the thing. You get on a 12-play drive, a 13-play drive on defense. They score or whatever. Let's say they end up punting. Even on 12 plays, they kick field goal. Mm-hmm. Your offense come out and go 3 and out. You're right back out there.
Right.
And so when people say you're tired, that's what wears you down. Yeah, so the fast-paced offenses work, but you can also score too fast.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize this too. I'm gonna explain this because we haven't talked about special teams. Who's on kickoff return? What kind of personnel people you think on kickoff return?
Kickoff return, probably defense or offensive guys, maybe.
Yeah, returning the ball. But that first wave are usually your
it's defense.
linebackers,
Yes,
your
defense. Yeah.
linebackers, your tight end type guys, right? Because they got to be mobile to block.
Yeah.
Who's on kickoff?
Defense.
Because they got to run down there and tackle
They
people,
gotta
right?
run and tackle. Yeah.
Who's on punt team?
Poor defense.
Defense, because they got to run down there and tackle. Who's on punt? Who's on punt return?
Probably defense.
It is because it's fourth down on defense, except that returner, who's the one guy who takes one person out.
Oh, geez.
So people don't think about just defense, plus how many special team defensive plays. The only play that defense is not on is field goal.
Right, because it's the offensive linemen that are set. You know what's actually interesting too is that I think and this is probably more NFL than it is college, I would say, because college you just have a lot more players. NFL, they're like 46, that's it. We don't care. Like 46 is how many travel. That's why you see so many like backup running backs and doing things on special teams because they don't have the flexibility that you have in college. You can, you know what I mean? It's like, no, this guy needs to be able to catch the ball, he needs to be able to do this, and he's got to go make a tackle on special teams. Get him out there. Like we only have X amount of people because I think they have 46. I think they have 46 people on their team.
You taught me something. I knew it was 53, but only 46 travel.
It's a 53-man roster. Only 46 are active. So it's called, that's why I always tell people it's like they're at 90 right now. So they go from 90 at training camp. They go down to the 53-man roster. You can be cut at any given time, anytime until 2 or 3 hours before game time. And it happens a lot. And then only 46 are actually active. And every team, different teams do it differently. Some people will travel their other people. Some people, if you're not on the 46, you don't get to travel. If you're at home, obviously it doesn't matter because you get to go to the thing. But yeah, only 46 people play. So
that's all. I thought it was the 53. Okay.
Yeah, that's why too. It's like people say that's why in the NFL, the more you can do, the higher your chances. Because if you're a fourth string wide receiver, you probably aren't going to play. But if you're a fourth string wide receiver that can tackle, now if our wide receiver goes down, we can use you. We can use you on special teams. We don't have to use this guy, you know? So it's like different variations of the same thing. So
that makes sense. Okay. Learn something. Yeah. See that? Coach me, coach.
Oh, yeah. So give me a point.
Gotcha. Bingo.
So I just want to say I have 2 other questions left. So if anybody has any questions in the chat they want to ask, if anybody has any, I just have to put this up here. You snuck.
Oh, you
snuck.
You went and brought Really Flawed on your show. So look, you don't realize I'm sitting. Look what seat I'm sitting in. I'm
in charge. Okay, this is my show. I'm in charge. He can't even access the screen. He can't put comments up. See me.
So, and here's the thing: we're actually dual streaming this on here as well because I want everyone. I'm trying to see. I don't even know how many people watch because I can't even see how many people are watching. But whoever's watching, if you are, please leave the channel. If you're on my side, go to Really Flawed. We're trying to get her. We are going to get her to 1,000 subscribers. So go ahead and go over to Really Flawed. Just Really Flawed. Type in Really Flawed on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I could put my own link in the chat, huh?
Yeah, I guess. So go to Really Flawed. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Go to Really Flawed on YouTube and let's see if we can get it to 1,000 so we can get it monetized. Because here's what I'll say while you're typing that in.
Does that work? Can somebody click that link and let me know if it works?
There you go. The reason I say that because, like I say, I think you have a lot of great information. We got to get the people to hear it. Got to get the people to hear it. Yeah.
So yeah, and like I said, if you have any questions or whatever, I have 2 more questions. We'll answer questions from the chats. I know some of you have asked questions up front or at the top, and I think I have flagged them, so I'll be able to go back. But don't hold me to that. The other question I have is just a high-level overview of being a coach, your experience. What is the hardest group as a whole to get on the same page and why?
I think the offensive line, because they have to work in tandem. The information and what they see is infinite. Like everything is not going to line up perfectly in front of you. You could practice a 40 front or even front, and people come out and run an odd front. You can practice this kid is going to be here, this person's going to be there, but they bring 2 more people up. That's where you go back to your rules,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But you got to get those rules from this side of the line all the way to the other side of the line, right? Including maybe the running back who's in charge of protection and the quarterback who's in charge for the +1. So, and what I mean by +1, meaning he's the extra guy that you can't block. So the quarterback's arm is in charge. Him throwing the ball is in charge of defeating that unblocked man. So that's what's tough with the offensive line. We're asking big boys to run backwards. I always tell football is the weirdest thing. We're asking defensive backs to cover a guy who's probably super fast, and you got to start off backpedaling. We're asking a big body O lineman to block a defensive end who's running a 4-4. We just saw that in Dallas Turner. You got to start off backpedaling, kick sliding. We're asking other people to run into another human being full speed. That's not natural.
Yeah.
So this is the weirdest game ever. Mm-hmm.
And can I also say too, I don't think, and maybe I can have an offensive lineman on to talk about this. I don't think people understand how hard it is to play offensive line. Like, and I'm not just saying like, oh, I'm an offensive lineman. I'm talking about like what really goes into knowing what you're doing, knowing what the guy next to you is going to do. Or if you're a tackle, obviously you don't have anybody next to you, which creates a whole different dynamic. Mm-hmm. But there's so many things. Law, if you're watching this, I need you to come talk to me about this because I know you'll be able to explain it very well. But there's certain things that just happen and you have to do something. It's like, you know what I mean? Like you don't have a choice. Like do something. It's like so I just don't think people realize how hard it is to actually get out there and do it. And then dare I say, offensive linemen usually don't tap out and get tired and run to the sideline. They're usually in there unless they get hurt, but they're usually in there every single play. So they will go from 5 to the other 5 and they don't get a break. So while the defense is rotating in big guys and small guys and short guys and whatever they're doing, the offensive lineman usually isn't doing as much of that. And I don't know if people realize that.
Yeah, and the reason that is because usually there's such a big drop off.
There's such a big usually.
He pays the price. That $30 million dude back there.
The quarterback, yeah. No, 50. It's now 50. It's now 50.
Excuse me. 50.
Well, I think I need to look it up now. I think the average now is probably like 42, 45 million, something crazy. Yeah. So I'm going to ask my last question. Then, like I said, I'll scroll back to the chat because I know there was a couple of questions I saw that I flagged, I think. So at the end of the game's over. You won the game. You're celebrating. You're happy. Woo, we won. Yay. What is the process of transition? So how long do you focus on the film from the game that you just had to now I'm ready to either, I guess, you look at I'm assuming you look at the old film, but then at some point you have to start the new week or the new game or the new whatever. What does that process look like?
Okay. So with technology, it's a lot faster. If you are a coach and a serious coach, you're going to watch that game that night.
Yeah. I've heard that.
You're going to watch that game that night. I remember we played UTEP flying back. We on the flight with the laptops in our lap watching the game. Tech guy put them all. He literally has all these laptops laid out on the tarmac, and he's got the main one that has the game on it. And he's sending them to all of them while we're loading on the plane.
Okay. Because
of technology. But let's say high school, you don't have maybe that technology. Huddle, they have Huddle now, so it's kind of instant. By the time you get the kids going on, you can watch the game that night. You may watch it 2 or 3 times. But why? Because you're going to break down that film the next day. So if you play a Friday night, on Saturday morning, you should be with your coaching staff breaking down the film.
Interesting.
because you have to see what mistakes were made, what you did well, what you didn't do well, grade them
Right.
out, right? If you're serious about it, grade them out, all of that kind of stuff. Then, depending on time, which you should, because I didn't care. We do 12, 13 hours on the Saturday. I didn't care. I don't care about.
Most coaches,
Yeah.
they
Tell your
do.
family goodbye for 4 months.
Yeah.
I tell them that
Like
quick.
they do.
If you want to coach here, tell your family goodbye for 4 months. And now, I was big on this. I get it. It's high school. I'm not paying you 100,000, 200,000, a million. So from January to whatever, I want you to be around, but I'm not going to ask a lot. I'll hire a guy to do other things. But football season, well, coach, we got a family reunion in August. You can't coach here.
Yeah. We need you. You have
Coach,
you have all this other time.
Coach, I'm getting married in October. Good. You'll do it as Mr., not coach. You can't coach here. Now you can't. Now, unless you're going to the Justice of the Peace on Sunday or something, or before practice, you cool with me. Come on, man. You cool. But you know what you're doing. You know what you're getting a part of if this is what you want to do seriously. But anyhow, now you break that down, you put that up. And we used to do so, I break down a thing called good, bad, and ugly.
Yep.
That's what I do. You know what that came from breaking down film. You can't watch an entire, especially in high school, you can't watch an entire game. And you don't want to do that anyway. It gets old and stale with your team, right?
Yeah.
You want to pull out the good plays, the bad plays, and the ugly plays. That's what you want to show them. You don't want to show them, okay, he made a 1-yard run. You want to call it a good play. Maybe if it's a game winner, but it's whatever. You know what you're supposed to do. So good, bad, and ugly, I kind of took that when I made these films from how we broke down film for the kids. So we will show them the good plays, the bad play, the ugly plays. We don't need to watch that. Then we go into the opponents. I know I'm all over the place. Hold on. Let me go back to our Saturday. I'm a little far ahead. Hold on. But I found my mistake.
Okay, fine. You found your mistake.
On Saturday and even Sundays, you're going to break down your opponent. So let's say we're in week 5. I may get 2 or 3 games of my opponent and try to find their tendencies.
Okay.
But if you're a coach worth anything, you get those games earlier, try to break them down individually throughout the week in which you're getting ready to play. I'm getting ready to play University of Miami this Saturday.
Right.
I play Florida State the following Saturday. This Wednesday and Thursday, I'm breaking down Florida State. I'm breaking down the 3 games of Florida State that I have. I got to do it a week ahead. So then on that Saturday, I can break down the game in which they just played because I don't have that film yet.
Right. Interesting.
Because if not, I'll be there all day.
If not, yeah. And because I think it's kind of interesting because there's a weird balance, right? And especially if you lose like a heartbreaking game or like a game you should have won, I bet that it's hard to just let it go. But you kind of can't, but you have to. But even when you're watching the new film, you're probably like, what the F? Like, it's like, how do you just let it go?
You have to. It's just part of it. It's like
just part of it.
It's like working in the hospital, seeing blood. You just let it go. You see, a patient pass away on the table. It's heartbreaking, but you got to let it go. Move on to the next page. It's that kind of thing. You do it enough. Yeah, it hurts, but you got to push forward and just keep going. Because guess what? Next Saturday coming.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And again, from a fan's, I feel like I'm like that as a fan sometimes, unless it's stupid. Like, unless it's just dumb. Like, dumb meaning, like, I'm a Steelers fan, okay? We do dumb shit, okay? We lose, like, when we lose, you're like, what was that? Like, actually, what was that? And so sometimes I'm just like, I don't even know what that was. And it's so dumb that I have to make sure other people know how dumb that was. So it's like, I can't drop it. But then other times I'm like, okay, we lost that one. I can move on. So for me, it depends on how the win or loss went. Sometimes I'm even pissed at a win, to be honest.
Right.
So, okay. So let's see. Okay. I think I starred some things. Oh, it's here. Perfect. So one question we got is, what group you hate to coach? Kickers and punters because you need them?
I hate to say this. You don't really even coach the kickers and punters. They
I
coach
was about to
themselves.
say, do you coach? I feel like you coach everybody but the kickers and the punters.
Like, like you may not coach them from a technical. I mean, unless you're just a dude that was a kicking guy. You know, you don't really coach them. They kind of they got a sucky job. And speaking of OTAs at the Detroit Lions, I'm standing next to the kicker and punter. Quick story. And you talk about their mentality. I'm standing next to the kickers and punters. They're out there for practicing or walking through, and they got their hands on their shoulders like this. And they're like, yeah, I got this new F-150 and I got it raised 6 inches. And this is what they're talking about, right? So he's like, yeah. So the dude like, yeah, I was going to get one too, but my wife, and they were like, field goal. He was like, hold on. He went out there, kicked it, boom, came right back, never broke sentence. Yeah, so my wife was really tripping, man. And like, you know, she was like, you already got 2 of those, so why do you need to get another one? You know, like, went right back and they were like, punt. He was like, hold on. Boom, bombs one, comes back. He's like, yeah, but you know, my son's getting ready to go to high school, so I
That's
got to
so
get him a truck.
wild.
That's how they are. Like, nobody talks to them, bro. Nobody talks to them but each other.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And keep dropping questions because I'm tagging them. So even if you drop them now, I tag some few, so I'll continue to do that. So the next question was, let me untag that one. The next question was, would you ever consider coaching pro soon?
Pro football, they got to come with it. I do pro football. Yeah.
So would you would do pro football over college football?
Oh yeah, of course. I know. I love college football, but coaching
See,
wise,
I think that too. I would too. I always say
coach with the transfer portal and the NIL. What? And now you
why?
just told me it's 46 people, bro. Like when I went to the OTA, when I say it's a small group of people, it's just as many staff members in there that there are players.
Yeah.
It's football all day. You're not trying to see about grades. You ain't worried if the dude get locked up. Guess what? That's the head coach and the GM gonna talk about it, not you.
Right.
If he get cut, it's not you. Hate to tell you, assistant coach, you ain't even a part of the drafting series. You get what they get through the door.
Yeah. No, I agree. I same.
They got a whole staff of pro scouts that do all the scouting. You may, write up something. Hey, we like these 4 guys. What you think? Okay, yeah, great. Bye.
Yeah. I like the business aspect of it. If I'm going to work, let me work for a business. Let me work for and I love college football, but that business aspect of it, if it's going to be on my time, sign me up for that. So somebody else asked, what do you think about the kickoff rules? Well, I don't think we know enough yet. You're not really like the NFL is not really your thing. So basically they changed the kickoff rule in the NFL and it's complicated as hell. Basically it's like, so instead of there being the guys spread out, so the first team and then the team kind of spread out, they're both lined up, I believe, like 5 or 10 yards across from each other. The guy kicks the ball off, and then they have to stand there until he catches it. Then obviously they can collide, and the guy runs. So tonight it happened.
How do they know they catch it? They have to look back to see if he caught it, or how do they know he caught it?
I don't know. Tonight was the first time. So I watched it, I think 3 times before. So, but again, it's also, there's other rules, right? Like if it bounces into the end zone at a certain point, then it's that. So there's all these different things. And just like anything, I think in the NFL is it will work itself out. I feel like, so I don't know. We'll see. So Reggie said, are you breaking out their race board tonight? We are not breaking out their race board. I will answer that for you. This is a test. He is getting graded at the end of this.
I'm ready, Reggie. I'm ready. I got my pen.
Let's see. You're really flawed. What is your opinion on the new age player like Caleb Williams? Is there a generation change culture-wise going on in the NFL? Old school Brady Pitt. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Huge culture change. Kids these days are different. There's different. And I don't want to say different good. I don't want to say different soft. I don't want to say different whatever. They're just different. And so I think that the era has changed. The way people are carrying themselves has changed. I'm from an era of you weren't even friends with the people that you played against. That obviously has changed. So I feel like the whole game, people have changed. So by result, I think everything has changed. I have no problem with Caleb Williams, and I don't understand why people do. I don't care if he wants to paint his nails. I don't care if he doesn't want, I don't care if he wants to get his eyebrows done. I don't really care because I don't care about anything a player does personally, unless obviously the dramatic things. But if you're on the field, I don't care. Show up, play, win games. That's it. Whatever you do in your personal life, go do that. Just don't harm people.
Listen, I told him, you remember when the whole Michael Sam thing came out? I said, listen, I don't care if a dude wear a bra for shoulder pads and high heel cleats. As long as he go out there and make a tackle,
that's it.
I'm cool with it.
I felt cheated. She's not showing. Oh, geez. How do I contact her? I tell people all the time, part of my thing is you never know how I'm going to show up.
What did your shirt say? Don't breathe?
It says I can't breathe.
Scoot over. Helped you out, Reggie. I helped you out right there. Helped you out, Reggie. It doesn't matter. I helped you out, Reggie. There you go.
Let's see. What? Oh, I was doing so good. Oh, I was doing good. Okay, here's the next one. What is your favorite offensive style or scheme?
The one that wins, baby. No. And I'm saying that jokingly, but it's the truth. I will say this. I love, because I'm really a defensive guy, I love running the ball. I love, because here's one of the worst things in the world as a defensive coach. You can't stop the run. I don't care if you load the box, you put 8, even 9 in the box. And the dude's still getting 3 yards in a cloud of dust, 4 yards, and you just pounding it. But if I ever look across and you throw that clipboard or that hat down, I got you. That's it, boy. Because I'm watching you. I'm watching. If I see you starting to pace, you know you're panicking.
Yeah.
So I'm a run the ball guy. You know, I get it. I like to run the ball. So I'll just say this: I'm a run first type guy. That's the old school in me. And but you know, it is what it is. But so far as like particular formations, air raid and proton, I really don't care in that sense, just because it's what it is.
That's great.
I've seen them all win. I've seen them all lose.
That's it. And that's what you and I have talked about this before, I think on your show. That's what I always tell people is like, this is about winning and losing. If I have to throw the ball 100 times in a row to win, I'll do that. If I have to run the ball 100 times in a row, guess what? I'll do that too. So
Michigan ran the ball the second half, did not throw it once, and their quarterback still went first round in the draft.
That's it. It's like whatever you have to do to win. Win. That's the name of this game. So let's see. Next question. If a coach or staff member is responsible for tracking the number of players in the field, why did oh gosh.
Somebody may not have been, or somebody can't count.
Somebody didn't do their job. What would you say to a coach that says he has jury duty and the season has started? He's got to go to jury duty or he goes to jail.
Well, you're going to jail, dog.
Jury
I can't
jury
help
duty.
You better, when you walk in there, you better tell them you the biggest dope dealer in the world. And you, hey, I'm biased. I hate the police. You better tell them something.
Well, to be fair, though, I think there's certain, when you get at least in Texas, there's certain things like when you get the jury duty thing, there's certain there's certain things that it's like you could get excused. So if you're in football season, you might be able to get it excused.
Man, you better tell them, boy, I'm the biggest dope boy on the county, boy.
So this one says, tell us what is your greatest satisfaction you get as a true coach. The answer will shock you.
Not the W. Okay. I've always said this. I love when you can, I've always said this, when you get 2D to turn into 3D, meaning when you can put something on paper and you have this scheme, you have all that, and then you can get those 11 minds to perform it at a high level, like they can perform it. It's like a masterpiece that's come to work, like come to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Frankenstein. He had this idea and then he turned it into something and it became alive. And you love to see when that defense be biting, boy, and they can't get out of it. And there's nothing offense could do. Boy, You know, but it's like having a joystick. Hey, it's like having a joystick right here, baby. You controlling it and you giving them that work. Yeah,
I can see that because that
yeah,
lets you know that you're doing your job.
yeah. And they get it. And they get
And
it.
they
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so what is it about Texas, Georgia, Florida high school football that makes it so much better than everyone else's? Is it coaching? Is it community values?
I think it's environment. I think the weather.
Think so
I
too.
think weather controls a lot of things. Just like up north, basketball is big because they have gymnasium. I know
Mhm.
South Florida, only high schools that I know of have gymnasium. No middle schools that I know of in the South, in Dade County, except North Dade, I think. But I think it's the weather. Just to answer your question quickly, I think the weather allows it. Um, it's just what it is, and you can do it year round. You know,
And I
is
would
what it
say
is.
too, the culture, like you know that that's what it is. I think
Right.
that helps because you
That's
don't
true.
have to. You're not pushing against anything.
That's true.
So I think this was a clarification. I'm not talking about players' preference, talking mindset with Caleb Willis, more like Antonio Brown. Sure, we're marketing brand or real opportunities. I don't see a problem with it. I think the world is evolving. That's what happens when you have social media and when you have different things. Like this is just who am I to say somebody can't market themselves?
But bro, he's no different than these same kids that ain't signing up for civil service jobs.
That's it.
They're
Tom
coming out
Brady
to
had
be entrepreneurs.
TB12. Tom
Yeah,
Brady had TB12 when he was still an active NFL Super Bowl winning
yeah.
quarterback. Like he started that with the New England Patriots. So anyway, like I think it's normal. I think what's happening is the popularity of football is growing. So I feel like a lot of more people are starting to see different
Hmm.
things, and that's what the thing is. So,
Yeah.
oh, and then
I
somebody
just
added
think
Louisiana. I will agree. Shout out
same
to
thing.
Louisiana. They have some great football down there too. They're great.
Mm.
I don't think they get
It's
enough credit.
just
I don't know why.
I don't know. I
Louisiana
don't,
has some great football players.
yeah. I just think like when you see these young people now, we're in a different generation. They're not going to college like everybody wants to. They're not. These are young entrepreneurs that are living their life. They'll quit their job at a drop of a hat. They don't care about
Mhm.
retirement. You can't tell them, you can't put them in a box and tell them to stay there. And that's what you're starting to see. See,
Yep.
the people who are having a problem with it are the people with the 40-some-year-old eyeballs because we were
Mhm.
used to being put in the box and go to college, get a job, do 30 years, retire and die. These kids like,
We
what?
don't want to do
Oh,
that.
you said they get a job. I got to be to work at what, 8:30? Oh no, I quit.
It's different.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. I've said I'm not going to say anything about politics, and I'm not. So if I start veering off, course correct me. I think that's what people don't realize is as a world, if a lot of people start doing it,
Hmm.
we are in control. We are the workers. We are the people that are doing things. If we all decide we don't want to deal with this crap anymore, guess what? Collectively, if every NFL player decided today to not take another snap of football until whatever, guess what? Guarantee you they would get
Somebody
whatever it
coming to the
was.
table. And that's anywhere. I say the same
That's
thing
it.
about teachers here in Florida. Why is
Yeah.
it that what y'all complain about X, Y, and Z, but do nothing about it?
Do nothing. And the only way you can do something is to create your own change, is to do your own
Right,
thing. So I'm talking about
right.
politics on my channel because I can.
There you go. But if everybody walks out, but here's the problem: this group of people still have fear. So if I go in there and say, "Hey, I'm with y'all," what time we doing it? Friday at 1 o'clock. Cool. I walk out there Friday at 1 o'clock, and I'm like,
Y'all
where
ain't
everybody at?
there. That's what I'm saying. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
but
And
these young folks will be out there.
it's like that old adage. It's like if you want to do something, do it yourself. Start it yourself and allow other people to come on to what you're doing or to understand what you're doing or to understand it.
Right.
Even if you have silent watchers, silent listeners, silent whatever, I'm still going to do it. And so I think though you're
Mhm.
right, a lot of people aren't comfortable with it. And it's if you're uncomfortable with something, you're probably the problem, not the
Yeah.
person that's doing the thing. Just FYI.
And it's the fear of what? It's the fear of losing something, losing
Fear of
your
losing
pension,
something.
losing this,
Mhm.
losing my job. Where's my next check coming from? These young folks don't care.
Nope.
These people
They
quit
don't.
their job for a $600 stimulus check. Think about that. They really thought $600 was gonna last them forever.
Yeah, I agree. Oh,
Yeah.
look, somebody, Bill Belichick threw the ball 2 times a game against Melbourne and won the game a couple years ago. Sure did. He should have. It doesn't matter. Win the game.
Mhm.
Like,
In the
who cares?
game, man.
Who cares? So that nobody else has any questions. I will. If nobody else has any questions, we can end this and whatever. But I
Fun.
just, yeah, I like I said, I like learning, and so anytime
Mhm.
I get a chance to ask somebody that knows more than me about something that I just don't have any experience in, or I feel like I have a different experience because I've always watched it and talked to
Mhm.
players and stuff like that. But I've never been on a sideline. I've never
Mhm.
heard a headset. But I think all of these things are super interesting to learn about as we're entering football season because it's back. We're here. It's happening,
Mhm.
whether you're ready or not. Football, real games in college will be played this month and they will count. So it's here.
12 times in the fall. I tell you, 12 times in the fall is gonna happen. Hey, we didn't even get into what coaches and referees talk about. Yee doggy. Boy, now that's a topic within itself, boy. I got
Is
stories
it
for
really?
days.
Do you guys get along?
What? I told the referee, I'll leave y'all on this cliffhanger right here. I told the referee one day, don't let that Foot Locker shirt get you effed up, man.
Wait, in real life?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, these referees talk to you crazy, man.
Do they?
Oh, they talk bananas to you, man. Oh man. My first game up
Interesting.
here. My first game up here, dude told me, Coach, this ain't Dade County. Don't bring that shit up here. First game, I ain't know the dude from nowhere. Huh?
So they're like, remember the Titans.
No, when I say the referees, when I say they be talking, like referees talking greasy to you, like
Interesting.
like boy,
Interesting.
and they got all the power, boy.
Do you think it's the same as you go up the ladder?
You mean like college to
Like in
NFL?
yeah, do
No,
you think
no,
they're the same?
no,
Okay, so you think
no,
it's a
they
high
don't.
school thing.
Yeah,
So it's
it's a.
kind of funny how power shifts a little bit.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
it's like, you know, it even from player wise too, because you know, you at college they're getting more power, but it's still different
Now
because then
the referees will fight back instead of verbally. They'll fight back with that flag though.
and then they'll give you the look.
No, they just look at you, but they'll fight back with that flag. And the worst thing to do is an assistant coach could talk to the ref. Oh, they gonna nail him every. The head coach got a little more leeway, but the assistant coach say
Interesting.
something, well, you finna get beanbag. Yum! You're like, and I get the penalty. And if I get 2 of those, I'm out. The assistant coach doesn't get a flag. The flag is on the assistant coach, but I get the penalty.
Oh, okay. Okay. Somebody said, do the referees do their homework on coaches?
Oh, of course, yeah. They football fans
Interesting.
too. They know who just got
That's
hired, who
true.
didn't get hired. Yeah, they football fans.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And it's usually the
Interesting.
same coach. You know, it's always a referee shortage. So a lot of them do some of the same games and this, that, and the other. And oh man,
Interesting.
I'll tell you some of these offline, but you can be like,
I don't
yeah.
I already have my own issues with refs. So I don't even want to know because I have my own theory on them. And I'll just we can end on that because there's not another thing that pisses me off more than referees in any sport. It isn't just football. It's volleyball, it's basketball, it's even gymnastics today. They're pissing me off. I just feel like we give in the world of technology, we give these human beings
Mm-hmm,
so much power,
mm-hmm,
and nobody holds them accountable to
mm-hmm.
anything.
There's no
No,
answer.
no, you'll see boxing matches, and everybody
Just
is like,
fine.
"Oh, so and so won," and then the referees are like, "By split decision," and people are like, "Split decision?" Like, yeah, the whole referee industry, they
I
piss me
wish
off.
they would do this. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, they had a thing called "You Make the Call" in the NFL.
Oh yeah, I remember that. No, that was with it was with the league. It was with
It was the NFL, right? They would pick a
it,
call.
oh, I didn't think it was the NFL. It was one of those flagship leagues because
No. Well, they may have revamped it, but
oh, okay, yeah,
originally it
because
started in the NFL, and it would be on Monday Night Football, And it was a segment called
Oh,
"You Make the Call," and it would be a controversial call,
can you
and then
vote?
they would do it, and then no, they would show it, and then they would explain why it came out to be what it was. I really feel.
So in it, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I really feel that the NFL maybe and even college should take maybe 2 a week, maybe 3, whatever, I don't know, controversial calls and give a true explanation to the
So they do
fans.
on Twitter.
NFL does?
Yeah, but my thing is it doesn't matter because we still lost. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, let's
I
say
get you.
San Francisco and the Ravens are playing right now, and something happens, and they call the game, and San Francisco wins, but really the Ravens should have won. My point is we have all this technology. Y'all are already talking in their headsets. We have replay. How do we have replay and you still get the call wrong?
That bothers me. The
What's the
replay
point?
and you clearly see it.
And
That's
you
now that right there. Yeah. Now the
You know
one
what
where
I'm saying?
his body's covering the ball, so you don't know if it's here or
That's
here.
fine. That's fine. And
But,
if and again,
but
if
it's
we're as
here and
watchers,
it's clearly short of the marker, and you like first down. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. So I'll say this too. So in volleyball, in Olympic volleyball, this is the first time they're doing it in volleyball. And they're doing something for NFL preseason where they're doing uh, a technology marker. So the ref, you know how sometimes the refs, you're like, oh, it's definitely a first down. The refs come in and it's all of a sudden not a first down. So they're trying to like track the football through technology, whatever. I don't really know. So I haven't studied that. But in volleyball now, replays, they're just done. You don't even have to, it's just like, hey, okay, no, the ball was in. The ball was out. Like we used to, you'd have to stop the game. The coach would have to throw a challenge. Like anything that's close in Olympic volleyball, they're just reviewing it.
let me
In
ask
or
you a
out,
question.
it's being reviewed.
Do you think technology is taking the pureness out of it? I saw this in baseball. I'm not a baseball fan. I didn't even know this was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You could call, say for example, the umpire calls a strike.
Mm-hmm.
The batter does like this, taps his helmet. He has to turn around and look at a monitor to verify it was a strike or a ball. He can challenge the call of the
The
umpire.
call.
I
So,
think it takes some of the purity, like the pureness, and I know it's
so
human, but it's like
yeah.
let a
The
referee
problem,
give me the referee and make a robot do it.
well, so the problem in baseball, but it's just like every other sport. There's always your guy, your stud, your guy who's making $100 million a year has a wider strike zone. And so my thing is I always say this, if the refs were consistent, we wouldn't need technology. But the problem is you guys can't be consistent because I think they're fans. I heard a ref this year in the NBA call Kevin Durant KD. Why? He's Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? Like, they're fans. That's a
I,
fan name. That's a fan name. I heard somebody said in one of the huddles they had
like, they
like
call him
Steph
KD.
Curry. And one of
Uh-huh.
the things were like, yeah, Chef Curry's cooking tonight. Why? You're like,
I get it.
focus. Like, focus.
Yeah, they
It's
can't
like,
separate.
like,
It's like that
yeah, so
referee with Michael Jordan. Have you seen him? Michael, I didn't see it. I'm telling you, Michael, if I would have saw it, I would
right.
have called it. I'm Michael. I'm
Right.
telling you, I didn't see it, Michael. Yeah.
But instead, if you kind of default some of these things to technology, I feel like it gives them an out. And that's my thing. So I feel like the NFL sets these refs up for
Mm,
these calls and then they back off. They're their
gotcha.
fall guy. Well, fix it. Now we're on a rampage with the reffing, but it's like fix
Yeah.
it. You have the
Yeah.
ability to fix it, but they won't. So Coach Hayes makes a terrible call. We lose the game because Coach Hayes sucks and his call is terrible. Then the NFL is like, yeah, you know what? Coach
We
Hayes did
missed
get
it.
that call wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he did get it wrong because Rule 7.4a says da da da. Great.
So
So now I'm mad at Coach Hayes.
yeah, but like I get it. I don't know. I totally understand it. I'm with you. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how they missed the clear call on the screen. Like those, Yeah, like those, they should publicize those refs getting fined. The same way they publicize the player getting fined.
That's what I always say.
Whoever the guy is upstairs, or whoever in New York that watches it, or however it works. If they, I mean, it's clear on, like, you remember, was it South Carolina playing Michigan? And it was like this far from a first down. The referee was like, first down.
It happened against Texas this year. Houston was coming back and got the first down. The refs were like, no, he's this short. I'm like, you guys just screwed them. I'm a Texas fan. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't either.
It's one of those.
But anyways, let's end this. He'll be on here. I will be on here ranting about this all night because this pisses me off. Nothing grinds my gears.
I'm sorry. Last one. Oh, I can't. I'm so used to clicking the button.
Oh, Brian, which one was it?
The very last one. Brian Snun.
Multiple safety calls.
Bro.
And it's like, how do you?
Two of them. Two different teams.
It happened again. Do you remember when Texas played Alabama?
No, we didn't watch
at home. Well, I'm just saying they were in the end zone. Will Anderson. I'm like, it was. Everybody was like, man, that was safety, man. That sucks. Texas is gonna win this game, and the referees were like, no, forward pass. What?
Yeah. How about the ref says 15-yard penalty for giving them the business? You remember that? Have you ever seen that ref? 15-yard penalty on number 68. For giving them the business. Bro, that was the best. But anyway, man, let's get out of here because we can do this forever. I want to say this.
Go
for
ahead.
Anybody that's on my channel right now on YouTube or even on Facebook that's watching, I dual stream this because I want to really help Really Flawed get to really 1,000 subscribers. And because, like I said, she's been a big support, not only to Coach Hayes football, but to Coach Hayes himself. And she's going on this journey now. So let's see if we can help her as well. And I know she has a great product because you can see she talks the game, she speaks the game, they're confident. She know more than coach about NFL, even though I'm an expert that watches nothing. I'll tell people all the time. And so, yeah, we're definitely going to do some bigger things here.
So let me give you the score according to my notes.
There ain't a lot of notes. Hold up. There ain't a lot of notes on that.
So I was just going to say, you actually did better than I thought.
I got notes. Look at my notes.
So the only question you bombed on, so for future reference, okay, political reference, good. You gave you some brownie points there. You totally missed the opportunity to talk about how good Texas football was. So not very good there. That wasn't good. We got to work on that one. Good analogies, great points. And overall, you passed.
Appreciate it. The world's smallest violin right there, ladies and gentlemen, for Texas.
But seriously, I appreciate everybody for watching, and hopefully you learned something, or even if you didn't learn anything, hopefully you just enjoyed listening to us talk random things about football that you don't usually hear. And everybody keeps saying we need to do this again, but we'll figure out something in life. We don't know what we're doing.
We'll figure it out.
Thank you.